Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Soulful Abundance with Chris Williams. I am here with one of my great friends and soul sisters, Dawn, and she is a visionary mystic. She's here to talk to us all about practical spirituality. And I'm just so excited to dive into this because this is such a fun conversation. You know, before we even got on here, I'm like, oh, but I want to ask this and this and this. And so welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah. Oh, me
Yeah.
too. And not only are you a visionary mystic, but you are an entrepreneur and
Yes.
you are amazing, you know, creating your own soulful success and soulful abundance in your business. So I love having amazing women come on to not only share their gifts, which you've got amazing gifts, but also share that, yes, you can absolutely have an amazing business doing what it is that you love, serving people in the way that you want to love them as well.
Yeah.
So, Don, tell us a little bit about practical spirituality. What is that? What does that mean?
Got it. So the best way to kind of think of it is if we were to break it down into its pieces, we
Mhm.
would see it as like the practical is our humanness and kind of the science of what we know and understand. And then the spiritualism is about, ism means the essence. And so
Mhm.
the essence of spirit that's within us. And
Mm.
so practical spiritualism is really about using practical tools, practical information, the things that we can really understand and support within our current knowledge. And then how can we bring in the spiritual insight or our essence and reawaken that? And instead of feeling, really a dichotomy between the two where we feel this, it's this or this, but how do
Mhm.
we bring those two things together? And that's really, through quantum holistic coaching, we marry those two aspects of
Mhm.
ourself so that we can feel fully connected again, fully aligned again. Um, Grounded is
Mhm.
really a big piece of that, and so centered within ourself that there is the blossoming of self-love. There's the blossoming of self-acceptance.
Mm. That's so beautiful. I know, because I know for me, sometimes it feels very either or as well. And I always have to remind myself about the and, right? The
Yeah.
practical feels a little bit more physical, and the spiritualism feels a little bit more like kind of out there and etheric. So I love that you're bridging both of these because I think we do need both. We need practical tools and tips to help us to, you know, realign and to really come back into center. And so I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
How did you get into this work? I would love our listeners to like. I know it's a very interesting journey, so I would love for you to share kind of like how did you land here?
Yeah, kicking and screaming. Um,
Right? You're like, wait a minute.
Absolutely. Yeah, kicking and screaming. So, um, my life has been a lot of shadows, lots of difficulties, lots of good pieces that can come in there as well, but lots of difficulties. Married in at 18 years old, after having somewhat abusive upbringing, and then having right into an abusive marriage, and then divorced and escaped at 20. Went into
Mhm.
hiding back. I'm going to gloss
Wow.
over them pretty quick.
Yeah.
Second marriage in my early 20s because I really, really, really wanted a family and was in love with being in love, that idea of being loved, which I didn't really understand.
Hmm.
And then divorced again, separated in my late 20s after I'd had my son, and
Hmm.
became a single mom in my late 20s, bankrupt. I was very blessed. My bosses at the time saw something special in me, and so they really pushed and encouraged me. I ended up moving to open up a lighting showroom for them. Ended up being a single mom and met my now spouse, my soulmate, and did a lot of development work at that point. By that point, I started to realize I hadn't really healed. And so in my 30s, I started the journey of actually healing, moving from the victim of being scared and
Hmm.
started to move towards, embracing, I would say, the survivor that
Hmm.
was there. So she was still fighting. And then
Hmm.
in my late 30s, starting to realize that there's a difference between being a survivor and living.
Hmm.
And so here's this huge identity that I was fully embraced with as a survivor, and was being challenged by the universe, by source, by God, to break that identity down, that identity was really keeping me small and limited. And so I say blessed a lot because I feel blessed. I have an amazing spouse. He is my best friend, and he is he jokes and tells people he's my roadie. He has got my back. I know, I love him to pieces. And so, he's always got my back during this journey. And so he really encouraged me to delve into a world that I didn't understand of spiritualism. I didn't have a good relationship with religion growing up. My first, I call them husbands, my ex-husbands. My first husband was tied to Jehovah's Witness. And so within that abuse was also not really a clear path out. And so, and in my childhood, raised Anglican, and again, not really accepted. And so there wasn't really a good relationship there. And so that confusion as to whether or not, if there was a God, did it love me because of the abuse and the shadows? Right. And then am I broken? So I was, really led to believe that I was a damaged product. And so what was that going to look like? And with Mike, that's my husband, he was very much like, you are beautiful and you're filled with light and you can do this. And so he really encouraged my power. And I began this journey of energy work, which I didn't really understand. I was a very practical person by this point. My soul was living in my head and was very happily, hiding up there with my intellect. And it would take me several years to bring it back down into my heart because my heart was so closed off and so walled to protect itself. Yeah. So I started the journey, and unfortunately within the journey of awakening, often what we say is, I want my purpose, I want my purpose, I want my purpose. And then, the universe goes, here you go. And you go, oh, yeah, that's not really going to align with what I'm doing right now. So I was in lighting and corporate, making very good money. My ego was very well fed. I had a beautiful life, big home, traveled lots, good husband, 2.5 kids. I have a French bulldog, so he's half a child. And he acts that way. And so I was like, no, I can't stop that. I want my spiritual, I want this life that I have within the physical realm and this. And it was very much like, no. And my coaches kept saying to me, my spiritual advisors, they were like, you should be coaching. You should be coaching. You should be coaching. And after 2 years of being told, and not doing anything really about it, I did enough. I was doing leadership coaching and this sort of stuff, but I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I knew it. I felt so out of alignment. I felt unfulfilled, which made me feel shamed and guilty because my life was so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just, I was not okay. And one day I hit my knees and I'm like, if there's a God out there, then I need you to step in because I don't know how to make this stop. And that was probably at about 6 in the morning. And by 4:00 that evening, I would be hit by a car. And so the part I don't tell a lot of people is that it was a rainy day. I was driving back on a highway from interviewing somebody, and it was really raining, barely see the road. And I saw this lady lose control of her car. I knew she was going to hit me, and there was an embankment on the side. So I was like, I'm going to have to hold us on. And it was slow motion and clear as day, as if somebody was sitting in the seat beside me. In a male voice, I heard, "You asked for this."
Wow.
So so you're pretty shaken when there's your experience. Wow. And then you're like, there's nobody there. So that's weird. And I remember bits and pieces of getting myself home. I got home. I kind of got through the motions, but how do you explain this to people? So I didn't tell anybody other than my husband. And so I couldn't work. I was light sensitive all of a sudden. I was struggling. I was hiding it from people though, because I was ashamed that I was hurt, because that was the whole thing for me. It was my worth was built around my work. Yeah. So if I wasn't working and achieving, I had no worth. And so I kept pushing and pushing. And 6 days later, I was in a second car accident. after I was supposed to be resting at home and went to go help a person with their lighting.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, and again, clear as day, somebody sitting beside me, you asked for this.
Wow.
And so I would fight for 6 months trying to work until I was finally put on permanent disability.
Wow.
And the neurophysio said, you will not, a neuropsychologist, she said, how long it will take you to get better will be based on you and whether or not you'll rest. And the more you fight this, the longer it'll take.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And
All the things you didn't want to hear. You're like, I know it and I don't want to hear it.
No, I was to the doctors. I'm like, give me a drug, fix it. Like, just fix it. Fix it. Why are we having this problem? And honestly, I was really lucky. I had a friend of mine that I went and saw, and she said, don't listen to any doctors. You need to download Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, and the Heart Math Institute. And you need to listen to this stuff and you need to change your attitude. And I downloaded those books and started listening to them on the drive home. My husband was driving. We were on a little trip, and changed my life.
Wow.
So I started listening to Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Heart Math Institute out of California, and I started listening to Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. And that gave me my practical. So now we're going to look at all of the practical side. And while this was going on, I would start feeling like I was going crazy as I began a spiritual journey of the dark night of the soul, where books would arrive on my phone and my phone wouldn't work unless I listened to them, like Carolyn Mays.
Wow.
And I'd never heard of her. Advanced Energy Anatomy. And so I started learning about the laws of co-creation. And then I'd wake up and it would be like, oh, I have to start Course in Miracles. And so I started 365 days of the Course in Miracles. And then came Michael Singer. And so all these, Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay had already been in my life, but Pema Chodron and all these spiritual people and science people were coming at me at the same time with a massive brain injury and nervous system dysregulation and spinal injury. And my job was to just do as I was told. And so for 6 years, I have been on a surrender experiment. It took me the first year to let go. I made my word of the year surrender. Then the second year, I made my word of the year surrender. And then the third year, because I wasn't very good at it,
You did it with surrender.
surrender. And it was on the third year that I was given the message. So claircognizant, so I get knowings or understand. We all get nudges. We all have access to this information. I call it the quantum field, but the mind of unity consciousness.
Yeah.
Right. And so the information's there for us. It's just, how do we take it? And so I get a lot of knowings and nudges. So I woke up one day and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to call my coaching company Practical Spiritualism. And it had been called Evolution to Coaching, because I'd had Evolved Lighting. So Evolution to Coaching. And I changed the name. And I didn't really understand the name when I was given it, until it was like it was shown to me afterwards. So this showing and understanding. And then as I continued, it came through that my purpose was to not only become sovereign, to become free from my wounds of the past, but to help others do the same. That my journey, my vocation was self-sovereignty. So that's really, in the nutshell, how we got to this moment of like healing. And then through that journey, my question that I kept asking was, why do some people spontaneously heal and other people don't? And I wanted to know why. And why was I still hurt and struggling 6 years later?
Right.
And so, here I'd surrendered, I'd done those things, and I wasn't better. And so trying to understand what is that? And then once I understood the answers, probably about a year and a half ago, it was really clear. And then it was like the journey of healing it, which a lot of the time is safety. What do I get from being hurt? Is it safe for me to heal?
Yeah.
Right? Is my injury keeping me safe from myself or from something in the world? And so, once I started to understand that, is it also a mirroring to bring our awareness to inner issues that we haven't healed. So when we look at the psychosomatics, so the wounds, the dramas and traumas of our past. And so once I understood that, began this journey. In March, I'd had a spontaneous healing. So I had done some shadow work with a teacher, and I had a spontaneous healing where within minutes it unlocked all the memories of my childhood.
Wow.
And then another week we did another one, and it unlocked, and I had a shift in my personality where all the anger and aggression that I'd had just was gone.
Wow.
And then I had another week where we did some more deprogramming, and I had another shift. And it was literally the next day I came to work, and my husband said, "Oh, there's my wife. I haven't seen you in 8 years." And
Wow.
I could multitask. I could do all the things that I used to be able to do and work at a different level because it was safe for me to be there then.
Wow.
So yeah, so now I'm working on my last little bits. In summer, I had another spontaneous healing in my pelvis. I have nerve blocks and ablations done in my SI joints and lower lumbar spine because of my discs being gone or disintegrating. And so I have nerve impingements. And all of a sudden, as soon as I said I would stop aborting my mission with the self-sovereignty system and putting this into life, as soon as I said I will birth this, and I called my power back from my childhood and from the other people around me, and I said, enough, I'm done, it was immediately that the pain stopped. And I haven't had to have any treatments again since in my pelvis or low back. So my last piece now is my neck and head, which is just what I finished working on now. But
Wow. Wow.
yeah, so
Holy
it's
cow.
walking the journey as I teach is very much, I
Yeah,
teach as the
no
student.
doubt. Wow. Yeah, your story is just so incredible and so inspiring. And I think one of the things that inspires me so much hearing it is that you just kept walking it, right? You're just like, okay, and I'm going to do this. Okay. And then I'm going to do the next step. And we all run up against rapids. We all run up against things where we're like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. And yet another opportunity comes literally for you crashing in
Yeah.
to say, and are, why don't we look at it this way? But you know what is so fascinating to me is that you are working, you are a light worker and you were working in lighting. And it was
I
just
know.
like, you just kind of like you got the information to go to work in light, right? You just like got the wrong message, right? You got the right message, but the
Absolutely.
wrong outcome of that piece. And because you are a light worker, a deep
Yes.
and compassionate and loving, brilliant light worker. And
And
the other thing that I know about you is that a lot of people come to you because they have issues that are not able to be treated in the traditional way. And
yeah.
yet I would love for you to share a little bit about that because that's pretty miraculous too.
Yeah, which was kind of cool when that started happening. I work a lot with other energy healers,
Mhm.
usually quite advanced ones. They'll come and seek when something's needed. I get sent a lot of clients from doctors and from other medical practitioners. Um, yeah, and so when somebody gets sent to me, it's usually because nothing's working and they've hit a wall. And so then somebody will get sent in. And I mean, the simplest way that we can understand it within, our North American
Mhm.
construct would be psychosomatics. So
Mhm.
what is happening in yogic, we would say samskaras,
Mhm.
so what is happening? What is the impressions that have been left within the body
Mhm.
that is stopping them from healing? So maybe it's gut issues and we're having digestion issues and gut issues. My question would first be when somebody comes in is, what are you having a hard time digesting in your life right now?
Mhm.
So whatever the physical experience is, we have a mental, emotional, and memory linked to it. So there's some belief, there's some program, there's some trauma or drama that is linked to that issue. And the body is just a communication tool. It
Mhm.
is not broken, it is not bad, it is not wrong.
Mhm.
It is an absolute miracle. It is an organic communication system. And
Mhm.
so our body is constantly trying to say, what is going on, bring our awareness, hey,
Mhm.
pull it back from out there and notice what the heck is happening in here so we can sort this out. But you
Mhm.
not dealing with this BS isn't helping us.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so what am I not stomaching right now? What am I having a hard time digesting? And
Mhm.
so I had one lady come to me, there was an older woman, and when I asked her that question, she said, my marriage.
Mm.
And she was struggling digesting her staying in a marriage that was in
Mhm.
many ways quite abusive mentally and
Mhm.
emotionally. And
Yeah.
so, and spiritually. And so here we're having this hard time digesting this issue.
Mhm. Yeah.
And once we understand that, it's like, okay, we'll fix it. And I'm like, but the problem is your body's letting you know that
Mhm.
you're out of alignment
Mhm.
with yourself.
Mhm.
And so so it's working with, sometimes we have to actually take an action and make a change. And sometimes that action is acceptance. This is who this person is. And I'm going to choose to actually stay with this person. So we do it consciously,
Mhm.
not out of fear, not because
Right.
safety, security, belonging, or love are either trying to be, received or
Mhm.
fear of losing. So we're not basing it off of the big four.
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
like making a conscious choice. Nope, this is my contract. I'm going to hold my contract with this person. And therefore, I'm going to be able to digest. I'm going to be able to stomach this issue because I've made a choice now. It's a
Mm.
free will.
Yeah.
Often stomach is linked with our willpower.
Right.
Whereas my pelvis is like our womb space.
Mhm.
What am I creating? Or what
Mm.
am I aborting?
Mm.
Am I aborting myself? Have
Mm.
I aborted who I'm supposed to be somebody else? Am I
Mm.
aborting my creative journey, my vocation? What are you aborting? Once
Mhm.
we birth that into life, pelvic issues, sciatica issues start to decrease. So the
Mm.
body's always telling us a story about that. And so
Mhm.
that's where I will use, a combination of coaching and energy medicine, energy mastery
Mhm.
to help a person release the old traumas and dramas, become aware of what's coming up. The
Mhm.
subconscious mind gets to communicate with the person and let them know what's going on. And that's what we do in session is what's coming up here. How can we release the physical, but now we also need to deal and have a practice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Dawn, so good. And you've got some new programs that are coming up too.
Yeah.
So, which I am so delighted to actually be able to support you to kind of birth those things and just kind of watch this whole journey. But I think this is beautiful because, it's one thing when we absolutely need that one-on-one coaching for sure to kind of clear out some things. And now you're bringing this as a way for people to also learn through your self-sovereignty system in a way that they can start applying these tools and learn those in a beautiful group program too. So I
Yeah.
am so darn excited. Will you share a little bit about that? And then, by the way, everybody who's watching this, we will make sure to put some links here, so that you can absolutely reach out to Dawn, follow her on Facebook and Instagram, go to her website. We're going to have a great freebie down here for you too, all about boundaries. But tell us about this really cool program that's coming out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that was a big piece of this was birthing this project. So
Mhm.
the self-sovereignty system
Mhm.
is we've just been working through the trademarks of it. And the program that we have, the main program is aligned living. And so
Mhm.
in aligned living, it's a year of transformation. And so
Mhm.
we work one-on-one with each other twice a month. And then we also do group coaching twice a month. And there's a
Mhm.
reason for that. Part of
Mhm.
it's community so that we don't feel alone. Part of,
Mhm.
in this solitary journey that we're on, we want to have some form of communication and connection,
Mhm.
that sense of belonging and love
Yep.
coming within a safe place where we
Mhm.
see each other.
Mhm.
So it's a combination. So 2 group coaching sessions a month and then 2 one-on-one sessions a month for a year. And then you get homework, there's tasks, recorded meditations after each session. So we have work that we do between and then access to me. So that's kind of the main program of aligned living. And then I also have aligned empowerment. So aligned empowerment is small group. So we max out 12, 15 tops, where we work for 12 solid weeks. We meet in group coaching. You're given the homework and we work through it as a group. And then for the next 3 months, we meet twice a month. And so within that group coaching, so everybody kind of comes together in the group coaching. And so we get group coaching as we support and integrate those practices moving towards self-sovereignty. And so, and then that can be renewed if you want to continue on with the group aspect. And then I'm excited because I just finished recording it all and putting it up, and it comes out, well, actually today as we have this conversation, it's finished. So launching 2 things on boundaries. So a boundaries digital done with you course, I call it, because you do 6 modules that are released weekly, and you do once a month group coaching on boundaries. And then I also have a boundaries group course that will start Boundaries Empowered in January, which is we're going to open for enrollment on the 2 group courses this month. So we'll open that enrollment, and that's an 8-week group course that will then finish as well with some group coaching, just to keep making sure that we're instilling those skills. We're not leaving you alone.
I love that you've got a seat on the bus for everybody, right? You've got, if you want to go at your own pace and do it on your own, but still have some connection to you so that you can get questions answered. You've got courses, you've got a combination of groups so that you don't feel alone in a shorter time period. And then you have the whole year, which gives you really both the community and one-on-one support to kind of move through things quicker. It's such a beautiful way that you're bringing your work to the world, and it gives people, again, an opportunity to kind of step in where they feel like they get the level of support that feels the best for them.
Thank you. I'm so excited. It's been a long journey bringing these forward, but it feels like it's just the right time. It's, I'm ready to step fully into that. And let's be honest, boundaries is something we all need to work on. It's the base of everything I do, really. Boundaries is the beginning of sovereignty. So that's hence why I did those 2 courses that way.
And you've got a freebie on boundaries. Will you tell us a little bit about that, so that people can, go into the notes, go into the descriptions, grab the link, but tell us a little bit about the boundaries free.
Thank you. I've got a boundaries checklist. So a checklist to kind of see where are my boundaries good? Where are they not good? Where do I need to do some work in different areas of our life? So it's a checklist to help you become aware of your boundaries and move through them. And then with that, once you put that in, then it kind of has so you'll get emailed the boundaries checklist. And then the next day you'll get an email that also will have a video, and then a blog, and then a workbook. So it starts out as the freebie, as the boundaries checklist, but then you also get a video, a blog, a writing on it, and then we have a multi-page workbook so that you can actively work through on supporting the boundaries.
That's huge. That's amazing. Can't wait to get that. I'm gonna be grabbing it. Cool. Well, Dawn, how can people find you? Where's the best place to find you, or the way that they can connect with you?
So there's always my website. I just updated it and did a bunch of work. And that has lots of resources on it as well. And we keep adding to our resources. So we're just putting a sovereignty quiz on there, and so meditation. So there'll be pieces that are there. That's at practicalspiritualismco.com. And then the socials, I'm on Instagram and Facebook under Practical Spiritualism, as well as Dawn Elgin. And then on YouTube is Practical Spiritualism. And then I also have my community on Facebook called The Awakening Circle, which we'll put the link in there for you as well. And that is, I'm really excited about that. That is creating, again, a community. It's a private Facebook group, so we get to talk in there without fear or worries of people outside. There'll be no trolling. So making sure that our people are safe on this journey as they discover themselves.
And it's so good already. I'm in it and I'm like, this is so good. So definitely come join us. And that way we can really connect with you, and Dawn can connect with you. in the Facebook group for sure. Dawn, this is so much fun. I swear I could talk for like hours and hours and hours.
Oh, I love
If
you,
I didn't
Chris.
have another
I could do
appointment
the
in a little
same.
bit, I absolutely would. But we will definitely make sure to bring you back on again in 2025 for sure. And, take this, even deeper and see, how these amazing new programs are happening and where you are and what you're doing. And I'm so grateful to have met you. So grateful to
Oh,
have met you.
goes both ways. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Chris. I
Oh,
really
my
appreciate you having
pleasure.
me here.
Yeah. All right, everybody, grab the links and be sure that when you reach out to Dawn and say hello, tell her that you are coming from Soulful Abundance with Chris Williams. And I will see you guys next time. Have a beautiful day.